Hi guys, ArchieLuxury, and everyone's come to me and said, "What's going to happen, Arch? What's going to happen with this Corona? Quick response check before we talk about Corona." We are wearing a Jaeger LeCoultre Reverso Grand Date shirt by Herman Sews. What's going to happen? Well, the death rate from coronavirus, let's be totally honest, there's about 1%. However, 10 to 15% of people who get coronavirus need hospitalization. So if we're completely chock-a-block, we're in for more deaths. So let's be totally honest there and say, what's going to happen? Well, the world has gone crazy. What have we done? Well, let me tell you what we have done. Okay, so what have we done exactly? Well, what we've done is we've closed the border. That's exactly right, guys. We have completely closed the border. We have cancelled international flights, domestic flights. They're all goners. They're goners. So, okay, what's going to happen? So, in Australia, we have closed the borders. State travel is also closed. So, Queensland is isolated from the rest. Each state is closing the doors. International travel is closed. Yes, if you really do travel, you can possibly get out. If you're super rich, you got a private jet, there's things you can do. But for most people, it's the inconvenience. See, they don't need to say it is illegal to travel. They just say, hey, we put 14-day quarantine at both ends. People say, fuck it, I can't be bothered. So that's basically what they've done. So the big question is, what's going to happen? Corona man, what's going to happen? Well, I'll tell you the future. Okay, so basically what's happening is in these states we have closed the borders. Once the number of new cases and infections starts to go down, we can look at starting the economy up. Now, it's not going to be instant turn the power on. We're going to turn the power on very carefully. We may not allow international travel. We may not allow domestic travel for a much longer period. So what's going to happen is slowly they'll start to relax the rules. They'll say, well, we can open the cinema, except that you've got to have one seat. Every second seat is vacant. We can start to open. Restaurants could open, say, for lunch, but they can't do dinner. We could say open the casino, but say turn off the poker machines. There's a number of easing the squeeze that can be implemented. So this is what's going to happen. If we don't, okay, let's look at it. Let's look at this. Number one, if we get a cure for it, we get a vaccine, problem solved. It's probably going to take 3 to 6 months to get that all implemented, but the problem solved. We can turn the world back on, reboot it, and off you go. If we can't get a vaccine, if this is a coronavirus, which is a nasty coronavirus, it's medically injected with the AIDS, HIV, DNA in it, and there is no cure, well, what we need to do is we need to isolate each state. Queensland, for example, will start to reboot. If we can get a safety and we know that people aren't getting new infections, we can start to turn things on again. The schools could open. Shopping would be allowed. Not only do you have to stay at home, but you could be allowed to go and do some shopping. There may be a nighttime curfew, but in the day you will start to increase things. They may start restaurants. Every second seat needs to be empty. They could say start restaurants for lunchtime instead of with no dinner traffic. They could also limit, they could say no alcohol. People make mistakes when they're pissed and they're drunk. So no alcohol. But they could start up the casinos but ban poker machines. There's a number of ways we can slowly start to get the economy going. Largely, we could start to get schools opened, we could start to get businesses opened, and we can slowly keep the business going. But no interstate travel. That's correct. No interstate travel. no international travel. However, once we can start to manage things slowly on a state basis, then we look at a national objective and say, hang on a minute, each state is working nicely. We could have interstate travel coming back up. Now, the only problem is, you know what the problem is? We got two airlines. A good airline, which is able to make money and survive. Thank you, Alan Joyce. And a rather shit airline. Tiger's owned by Virgin. Jetstar's owned by Qantas. Well, it looks like the bad, nasty airline with corporate debt and borrowing, well, they're gone. They may never come back. That one is Gonski. So we will have airline traveling again. We'll probably lose the unprofitable. Any airline that was losing a shitload of money, like Virgin and subsidiary Tiger, they're fucked, they're gone. So then Qantas and Jetstar will take over. Yes, that's the way capitalism works. So then it will work within Australia. They'll slowly start more industries working as long as the infection rate is not starting up again. And eventually what they'll do is they just won't turn the switch in international travel. They'll say, okay, Australia can open up to New Zealand, and New Zealand can open up, you know, to some of the Pacific Islands and things like that. We can start to fly to Tasmania with the Taswegians. However, I don't see Asia coming online, considering it's the home of Corona. They're not probably going to reboot on. That may be 2 years away. That's correct, 2 years away. So the country will start up. Trade will still, trade hasn't stopped. The cargo can come in and that there, but cheap domestic travel over. Gonski. So that's how it'll slowly come up. Some businesses will survive. A lot of businesses will go broke. Unemployment after this coronavirus is after 6 months after it's finished. I predict unemployment in Australia will be around about 15%. This is after. At the moment, it's about 35 to 40%. So after, it'll be about 15. It'll be massive unemployment. Some industries like Jetstar, because Tiger has gone bust, they will be super busy. And this is the capitalist system. This is what happens. So basically, the country will start up again, and it'll start rolling. The share market will start to go up in big leaps and bounds. Our super 401k to you Americans will return, and then we will 2 years, give it 2 years, we will start to open the borders to Asia, and then 3 years open to America and Europe. That's my prediction. It's a long, slow process. Guys, the truth is it ain't going to be turning the switch back on. It's like a generator. You turn it back on. If you plug too much shit in at once, it'll just die. You've got to start it up slowly. So they will do this because they also don't want Corona to go crazy. And the reality is there's a lot of nasty things in other countries happening. Let me give you a blog. Let me tell you some gossip there, okay? So Japan. There's a blog that my wife subscribes to, and there's a doctor who said he's got a bit of a cold. He's really scared to get tested for coronavirus, because if he has coronavirus, he can't treat his patients, and he's going to be letting down the side. He could get bullied in the workplace. Many people are too scared to get tested or anything because they don't want to be the one who pulls the organization down. This is absolute dog shit mentality, but this is what's happening in Japan. So Australia cannot open its borders if you've got people who have the coronavirus. It's gone wildfire there. Countries like Indonesia, they haven't even got testing kits in any large quantities. Minor, insignificant testing kits. That country's a cesspot. India, Africa, that's a cesspot, which unfortunately, it's basically what's going to happen is 10% of the population will just perish. I am sorry. This is the perils of being born in the developing world there. Countries like Thailand will be pillaged. Thailand will be absolutely robbed. Unfortunately, with countries like Thailand who depend heavily on tourists, especially Chinese tourists, Thai Airways will possibly go broke unless the government / royal family steps in to save Thai. Thai Airlines has been on the stink for many years now, and that airline will suffer. It will disappear unless they pump inject massive amounts of money. Thailand itself, the tourism will probably never get back. The baht is far too strong. It's just a disaster. And the way they're blaming foreigners for bringing in the coronavirus, maybe it's their own social distancing, non-existent social distancing, which should really be blamed, but Thailand's always got to blame the foreign. Blame the foreign. And this is my prediction. Unemployment 15%. That'll be at the standard rate for the next 5 years. Inflation. What's going to happen to inflation? Well, inflation is going to be kept in check by the fact that inflationary pressure. There's so many economic situations there, stimulus and that. Inflation will probably have more deflation than inflation. Prices will get cheaper in the medium term. As far as the share market, it'll return. Everything will be good. What's going to happen with the Aussie government? How are they going to pay for this $250 billion they've just spent? How's that going to come back? Well, number one, they're going to have a 5% levy on the Medicare levy. So 5% whack to rich people. They're going to say to all the 401k, the superannuation funds, right guys, we need some of your cash. Everybody's going to donate they're going to transfer 10% of their super fund to a government wealth recreation fund. And this is what's going to happen. And so basically it's a 10% grab, 10 to 15% grab of all the super. The next thing that's going to happen is, what else is going to happen? Death duties. Probably they're going to come back. And GST may, once and for all in Australia, go up, I reckon, about 17.5%. That's correct. The GST will be 17.5%. Guys, these are my predictions from the Pontiff Archibald Chesterfield III. I called the depression. I called it out well in advance. Guys, tell me what you think. Like, subscribe, and tell your denial friends. In the meantime, guys, just remember, air travel was fun. Cut! Hi guys, ArchieLuxury, and who do I recommend in America? In America, who do I recommend for quality pre-owned wristwatches? David SW, David SW, David SW. Go to davidsw.com. He is the best, the greatest pre-owned dealer in all of the United States of America. David SW, David SW, David SW.
Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, once again, Mark Goldberg for ArchieLuxury AC3, the Pontiff, Satan Deville. I want to sincerely thank you for having sat through this video, because I know it was awful, but you know what? You do it for the greater good of humanity. Thank you so much. Now, a couple of quick pieces of homework. Now that you've watched this video, I would like you to hit thumbs up. If you must, hit thumbs down, but if you'd hit thumbs up, I would especially appreciate it. Go ahead and leave a really nasty comment and tell him how awful this content was, but most importantly of all, the entire reason that I am linking up with Archie Luxury in the first place. I am a published author. Let Dogs Be Dogs, available in bookstores, Amazon, and electronically somewhere near you. Remember, Archie Luxury, he's not just a figment of your imagination.